What's up, everybody? Welcome to One Funnel Away, day number 4. Congratulations for being here. As you know, because you're on day number 4, you are one of the winners, and I'm so excited to be working with you and serving you today. Today's topic is one I'm really excited for. It's called the Ask Campaign, A-S-K, and I make sure that I spell that out and say it slowly because one time I was talking really fast like I normally do, and I think I lost half the audience and offended them. So this is called an Ask Campaign, and it's one of the most simple ways to make sure that what you are creating is correct the very first time. Okay, the worst thing in the world is spending tons of time and energy and money building a product, launching the market, and nobody actually wants it. Okay, and so the Ask Campaign will let you know exactly what you're creating before you ever create it, and this is the secret to being successful. Now, I learned this originally, almost 20 years ago. I bought a course from Frank Kern and Ed Dale called the Underachiever Formula. And it was kind of fun. It was like how to make products and being an underachiever. And I bought the course from him, and I went through the course. And from that course is where I created my very first product. Some of you guys have heard me talk about this, called How to Make a Potato Gun, which was the first thing I ever created and sold online. And I had success with it. But I followed this method to flawlessly to a T. And it's funny because nowadays nobody ever talks about it. I actually ended up eventually buying that brand from Frank and Ed. So I own it, and someday we're going to relaunch that as an actual product because it's so powerful. But the key thing I learned from the Underachiever Formula that I want to teach you guys today is you don't just go out there and create a product and hope people buy it. Instead, you follow the simple 3-step process. And it's the most simple process in the world. After I share it, you're like, duh, Russell, that's so simple. But for some reason, all of us think we're too smart and we try to do it some other way. So this is what the Underachiever Formula taught me, how to run an Ask Campaign, okay? So this is how it works. Step number 1 is we have to find a hot market. So find a hot market. Okay, and so I'm going to draw some flames here. Let's put some red in here, so you see that's actually a hot market. Some flames in there, and so a hot market of people. Okay, now luckily for you guys, there's a hot market. Because we talked about this yesterday, talking about figuring out who your offers in the market, that kind of stuff. You hopefully have a hot market, right? You want to find a market of people who are actually buying things that you're wanting to sell, right? So step number 1 is finding a hot market. Okay, step number 2 is you create a product. Just kidding, that's what most people do. Okay, step number 2 then is we ask them what they want. Okay, what do you guys want me to actually create? Okay, and we do this by running a really simple Ask Campaign, which is basically kind of like a survey. I have a cool doodle that I'm kind of draw here. I'll have the video team superimpose the actual doodle when we're done because it looks way cooler than this one. But step number 2 is we ask them what they want. So what that means is instead of going out there and just creating whatever we want, we say like, what do you guys want me to create? And they tell you. We say, what's your number 1 question about this? And they actually will tell you. And then step number 3, after they've told you exactly what they want, then guess what you do? You simply give it to them, okay? Here's you create the thing they asked for, and then you give it to the market. Okay. All right. There's my version of doodling it live with you. Again, all my team superimpose the actual photo. Boom. There it is. 3-step system. Find a hot market. Ask them what they want. Give it to them. So simple. So powerful. For some reason, people overcomplicate this every single time. Okay. So I want to be an expert in this market. Okay. I figure out where these people congregate. Now I got to go to those congregations, right? And then ask them what they want. Okay, so a good example of this, when I first launched my Potato Gun DVD, I created a very simple page where I just asked people what they wanted. And on the page, you'll see right here, dear fellow Potato Gun lover, I know that your time is valuable, so I'm going to get right to the point. I need your advice. I'm putting the finishing touches on a new course called How to Make a Potato Gun. I want to make sure that I don't leave anything out. So let me know what your biggest question is about potato guns. It could be anything, even if you think it's silly. All you have to do is type in your question in the little box below and click submit. In exchange for your advice, I'm going to enter you into a drawing to get a free copy of our new course before we release it to the market. It should be ready in a few weeks. Okay, so here's the easy form. What's your biggest question about potato guns? And that was it. Very simple. 1 question I'm asking them, not complicated, like what's your biggest question about this topic? And then people will respond. Now back in the day, what I did is I actually ran Google Ads, and I ran it until I had about 100 people filled out the form here. And what's crazy is like, people were asking questions I didn't even thought about, like didn't even cross my mind, right? People were asking like, what's the correct barrel to chamber volume width on how you should do your potato gun? How do I make sure the potato gun's not gonna blow up in my face? How do what kind of propellant should I be using? What kind of, the best igniters? Like all these questions started coming in. I was like, these are really good questions. I don't actually know the answer to this, but this is the questions that the market actually wanted me to tell them, right? They're telling me exactly what they want. So now when I'm creating the product, I'm not having to guess, I know exactly what they want. Okay, so that's why we do this Ask campaign. Now, for most of you guys nowadays, like I still run these before I create almost any course. Like if I sell a course, if I pre-sell a course, and I know I'm going to start fulfillment on a certain day, the first step I normally do is I send an email like, hey, I'm finishing the curriculum for module number 1. What is your number 1 question you have about this topic? And then people will tell me exactly what it is, right? So if you have an existing audience, it's really simple. But if you don't have an existing audience, I'm going to show you guys one of the hacks of what we use today that makes it so simple. So what we do is I actually will go, for me, my favorite place is Facebook groups. So I'll go to Facebook and I go to search to option and I start searching. Let's say I have a product about photography. I'll type in photography, right? And it'll show me here's all of the groups that are about photography. And some groups have 30,000, some have 100,000, 500,000 people, right? And so I go and I join all those groups. And my first step, I don't want to just go in there and like start asking questions right out of the gate, because then it gets a little fishy and people don't typically like you right out of the gate. So I'll go in there and I want to prove that I'm an expert in this topic. So I'm going to go into Facebook and I'm going to find 3 of these groups. Okay, so here's group number 1, here's group number 2, and here's group number 3, right? So I have these 3 Facebook groups. I'm gonna go in there. The first thing I want to do is I want to prove that I'm actually an expert. So I'm going to try to find 3 questions, right, inside this group that I can answer. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go answer 3 questions in group number 1, 3 questions in group number 2, 3 questions in group number 3, and then I'm going to be done for the day, right? So I just went and provided value in 3 different groups. Then tomorrow I'm going to go back and I'm going to find 3 questions. I'm going to answer 3 questions, 3 questions, 3 questions, okay? Come back the next day, answer 3 questions, 3 questions, 3 questions. What's going to happen is you're going to start seeing you popping up in this group over and over and over again. People are like, man, this person's answering questions. They're serving. They're very like they're adding value to the community. And after you've been doing that for a little bit, that's when you come and you drop the question. Okay. Now the question is going to be very, very simple, just like what I used to ask on my Ask campaign. Okay, it's going to be a little different. Here I'm going to say, hey, I need your guys' advice. I'm putting the finishing touches on my new course called blah, 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 whatever your course is, right? And I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. So if you want me to know what your biggest question is about blank, it can be anything, even if you think it's silly. And I post that, and what's going to happen is now all of a sudden all these groups with 50, 30, 100,000 people are going to see the question, and people are going to start responding and start giving you the answers you need. Okay, this is your Ask campaign. I normally run Ask campaigns nowadays out of Facebook groups. It's the easiest way. You can still run it the way I did, running ads and stuff like that, but for those of you guys who are just getting started, this is the simplest and easiest way. Go ask the question and start getting feedback. Now, one note, what I found is if you are too general in your question, it's almost impossible to get feedback. Like if your question is like, what's your number 1 question about how to get traffic to your website? No one's gonna respond, okay? If you ask a very specific question, what's your number 1 question about how to use Google Ads to drive traffic to your website? Boom, all of a sudden people will pay attention. What's your number 1 question about how to flip houses without using your own money, right? Boom, so you're like very specific. The more criteria, like flip houses without your own money, like every time you add another criteria point, it gets more and more specific, and more people will typically respond back to things that are more definite, okay? So that's kind of how we do it. So that's kind of your homework for today. It's not difficult. It's just going out there and starting to do some research. So going out there and find 3 or 4 groups in your market. Again, we talked about yesterday, like where are your dream customers congregating? This is where they're congregating at, right? So you're going to existing congregations, you're providing value, people are gonna start seeing you as an expert, you're providing value, and then boom, you ask the question, and they get the answers. Now you're gonna find out exactly what your dream customers want you to create, okay? Now I'm gonna show you guys kind of an advanced tip. Here's why we're doing this as well. Because what's gonna happen is you start getting this feedback. So when I did it with the potato gun survey, which is interesting, is I went to my I think it was my Gmail or whatever, maybe it was Yahoo, whatever it was back in the day. I went in there and all these questions had come in from people about potato guns. I think I had over hundreds, like 100 and something responses, right? It came in. And from that, I looked at all those responses and I started realizing like, okay, here's 100 people's questions. A lot of them are similar though, right? So I said, okay, here's all the questions. And I said, okay, these 5 questions all have to do with safety, right? So number 1, these are safety questions, right? So I put those out there and I list out what the questions. Number 2, all these questions right here all had to do with structuring the gun, barrel to chamber, what volume, what kind of glues the gun, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? So like I have all those here. So I write down whatever the core topic is. So if it's going to be how to build a gun, how to build, and here's all the questions about that. And then these ones right here are all about propellants, right? So what are the propellants people want, right? So I take those and I put all the questions there. So start going through that. And what happens really quickly is I look at all the questions, I take that, and from there I'm able to build an outline, okay? An outline or a framework, right? If I'm taking somebody from here, I'm trying to get them this result up here, right? I have all these steps I got to do, right? These people are going to tell you where they're getting stuck, right? If you look at this, all that this is right here is like one step in the framework, right? All of this right here is step number 2. This is step number 3, is I'm getting them towards the result I'm trying to give them, right? So this gives you the structure for the framework you're going to be creating. And it also gives you exactly what people want to make sure that you're covering, okay? So when you do record the video, you can answer those questions. Like when we recorded the how to make a potato on DVD. Man, this is 21-year-old Russell. I love him for doing this. It's so cool. But I was like, literally, we like snuck into my college. We found it was a Saturday. We snuck in. We found a room that was open, had a whiteboard, and we literally went through. We took all the questions from the Ask campaign and we wrote them on the whiteboard. But then we had a big, huge whiteboard. We wrote all the questions over here, so we saw what they were in the answers. So I knew what the barrel to chamber volume width was. I knew all the different things that we needed to know. And then we just filmed this section of the whiteboard. And so I'm on the whiteboard, like mapping things out, and I could see the answers like right here off camera. And I'm just answering them. I look like I was a genius. Like here's Einstein teaching potato gun theory, but I was just teaching the framework. But I didn't have to figure it out. Like people submit the questions to me. I didn't know the answer. I Googled, what's the right barrel to chamber volume width for a potato gun? I found the answer, I researched, I studied it, and I added it to my notes. And what's the next question? And so I just went through, they told me what the questions were, I went and did all the research, found all the answers, and boom, now I had everything I needed to do to create the framework to go and actually record the course I was gonna do. Does that make sense? Are you guys getting this? This is exciting. There's one other sneaky thing to know as well, in a really cool way, is that when these people write these questions, right, they're giving you the copy you're gonna want in the future to sell the product. Right? If they're asking, how do I make sure the gun's not going to blow up in my child's face if I buy them the plans? Right? That's a question. Then like, oh, when I'm writing copy for my thing, and I'm like, here's all the stuff you get in the course. Bullet point number one, you're going to discover exactly how to make sure that this isn't going to blow up in your kid's face. Right? Question over here is about somebody saying, what's the right barrel to chamber volume width? Like, we're gonna show you exactly what the correct barrel to chamber volume width is. What's the best igniter, okay? We tested 5 igniters, we'll show you the number one favorite igniter. What's the best propellant? We tested 32 propellants. There's only 2 that we wanted to use and 1 that blew up in our face. It's like all the questions become the bullet points in your copy. And that way, when your dream customers are coming to this and they wanna buy your product, like you're not guessing what are the hot points, what they wanna know. Like, they're telling you they literally give you the copy. They give you the questions. You just reverse those from here's the question to oh, this is what I'm gonna show you inside the product, okay? So there's so much value in doing this, and nobody ever does it nowadays. So I want you to thinking through this, this is the step you gotta be doing every single day in the process, is figuring out, running the Ask campaign, find out what people's questions are, and then from there, you build the curriculum, you build the copy, everything else from there, okay? So what your job now is to go and run the Ask campaign, get some questions, from there, build your outline, add in the questions people asking to each level of the outline, and you can start researching, start finding those answers, and this gives you the core understanding of what you need to create in your initial framework that's gonna be the key to your actual product. That make sense? Kind of fun, kind of easy, not that difficult, but man, this is where all the creation begins. Remember Myron talked about the 4 levels of value? This is that 4th level of creation, imagination. These people are helping you to build exactly what they want. And if you come back to the 3-step formula, you found a hot market, you ask them what they want, and then you're just gonna give them the exact thing they asked for. They can't help but buy because you didn't create something that you wanted to create, you created what they were asking for, and you're using their questions to get them to actually buy. Anyway. It's amazing. I love the Ask campaigns. I wish everyone would do them. But here, now that you're in the One Funnel Away Challenge, you'll be one of the few marketers who are actually doing this to create the exact things that your dream audience wants. So that's the game plan. That's your homework for tonight. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow, day number 5, we're actually going to start building out the funnel, the video sales letter funnel to sell the thing you are selling. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you keep up on your homework. And last thing as well is don't forget, if you haven't yet, if you're 4 days in here and you're like, I'm all in, this is amazing, I love this, this is my career, this is my future, go to imallin.com, upgrade, you get a year of ClickFunnels for free, plus a bunch of other really cool training modules as well that you're gonna love. But when you're ready to go all in, go to imallin.com. With that said, thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna actually start building out your funnel. Thank you guys, and we'll see you then.